Learn how to plan your retirement effectively. Learn how to plan your retirement effectively.
Hey everyone, welcome to this explainer. Today we're taking a calm, deliberate look at a topic that honestly can feel pretty overwhelming, but absolutely doesn't have to be. We are talking about securing your financial future. Our ultimate goal here is to demystify retirement. Whether you're an early starter with decades ahead of you or a late bloomer feeling a little like you're running out of time. Whoever you are, wherever you're starting from, you're in the exact right place. Here's what we'll be covering today. First, the goal, life after 65. Second, the early advantage at 30. Third, the 60s catch-up strategy. Then, adapting your safety nets. And finally, the forever financial plan. All right, starting with part 1, the goal, life after 65. Okay, let's dive into this. I really want to emphasize right out of the gate that whether you've got the luxury of time on your side or you're playing rapid catch-up, securing a comfortable life in retirement is a completely achievable target. Seriously, it's not about how much you make, it is entirely about how you manage what you make. The 15, 65, 20 budget framework is kind of your universal baseline for cash flow no matter your age. 15% goes to paying your future self first through investing and emergencies. 65% is strictly capped for fundamental necessities, stuff like housing, groceries, transport. And crucially, that last 20% is guilt-free enjoyment. You literally have to make room for fun, whether that's a vacation or just artisanal coffee, because all work and no play is a surefire path to financial burnout. The author George Clason once nailed this idea when he said, "That which each of us calls our necessary expenses will always grow to equal our incomes unless we protest to the contrary." This brilliantly highlights how lifestyle creep is basically the universal enemy of wealth building. I mean, the second you get a raise, the temptation is to instantly upgrade your apartment or your car, right? Your expenses just effortlessly match your new income. So that 65% cap on necessities, that is your daily protest to the contrary. Moving on to part 2, the early advantage at 30. Now, what's really interesting about this comparison is the staggering penalty of waiting. Just look at Janet and Mike. Janet invests a single lump sum of $10,000 at age 30 and just leaves it alone. By age 50, assuming a modest 6% return, it grows to over $32,000. Now Mike waits until he's 40, panics a bit, and invests $2,000 every single year for 10 years. He invests double out of pocket, $20,000 total. But at age 50, he only has about $27,900. Janet wins, hands down, purely because she gave her money an extra decade to compound. When you stretch automated wealth building out over 30 years with an 8% average return, the math does all the heavy lifting for you. By leveraging passive index funds, the ones tracking the S&P 500 or the Nifty 50, you don't need to actively tinker or try to beat the market. Investing just $1,000 a month consistently for 30 years results in nearly $1.5 million. It's the simple, delightfully lazy path to wealth, relying purely on consistency and the clock. Which brings us to part 3, the 60s catch-up strategy. Now, if you're in your 50s or 60s and looking at a retirement account that feels, far too empty, take a breath. You're not alone, and it is never too late to deploy an aggressive restructuring of your finances. But we do have to face a silent wealth eater, 6% inflation. Think about it. If you need $50,000 to cover your expenses today, you're going to need significantly more 10 years from now just to maintain the exact same lifestyle. This silent drain makes a fast, aggressive catch-up plan absolutely vital. So the crucial point is, when you're short on time, you need to pull some aggressive levers. Here are 4 drastic but highly empowering action steps for late starters. First, a 30-day spending audit where you track literally every single penny. Second, drastically reducing your biggest expense, which is usually housing. Third, working longer to delay Social Security. And fourth, looking into a reverse mortgage if you have home equity. Let's look at how a couple of these actually play out. When we talk about drastically reducing housing, consider this real story about a 61-year-old couple who had very little saved for retirement. They made an incredibly aggressive, out-of-the-box move. They sold their large home, moved in with their adult daughter, who was actually struggling with college and childcare herself, and rented a single room from her. By sharing utility expenses and providing free childcare for their grandson, this couple saved an astonishing 70% of their income over 3 years. After those 3 years, they had enough to buy a comfortable, low-maintenance condo. They completely reset their financial trajectory. Another major lever is delaying Social Security or pension benefits, which significantly increases your eventual monthly payouts. And remember, 70 is kind of the new 65. Finding creative side gigs can boost your income and delay the need to touch your portfolio.
Take the story of a delivery driver for the app Zepto. He was an elderly, impeccably well-spoken gentleman, clearly working not just for the extra cash, but to stay active, get his steps in, and just meet people. Using your 60s and 70s to earn side income on your own terms, it's a brilliant way to catch up.
Let's move to part 4 and see how this builds. Adapting your safety nets. The reality is, what protects a 30-year-old simply won't protect a 60-year-old. At 30, you've got high mobility. If you lose a job, a 3 to 6 month cash cushion of core expenses is usually enough while you hustle to find a new gig. But at 50 or 60, say you're a senior executive and you get downsized. Replacing that specific high-level income can take much, much longer. That's why your safety net at this stage needs to expand to 1 to 2 years of core expenses. It is absolutely essential for your peace of mind. And the rules of insurance shift entirely for older demographics too. In your 30s, term insurance is an absolute must. But in your 50s or 60s, if your kids are grown and self-sufficient and your house is paid off, you might not need income-replacing term insurance at all because you simply don't have those dependents anymore. Health insurance, on the other hand, becomes extremely critical, especially if you lose a job and the corporate health coverage that came with it. Securing robust, independent health coverage is a non-negotiable, and this brilliantly illustrates how that shift in mindset also applies to your portfolio. Someone entering their 60s has to totally rethink the concept of short-term. Normally, short-term is 0 to 3 years, right? But for real peace of mind in retirement, short-term might mean the money you need for the entire next decade. Funds needed in the near term should be shifted into safer debt and fixed income assets to shield against market crashes, while the money you won't touch for 10+ years can safely remain in equities to outpace inflation.
Finally, we arrive at part 5, the Forever Financial Plan. All right, here is your ultimate simple blueprint. Secure a term plan if you have dependents. Maintain robust family health insurance with minimal restrictions. Make the most of tax-advantaged retirement accounts like the National Pension Scheme or an IRA. And finally, invest your surplus into passive index funds and just a little bit of gold ETFs for a global hedge. I know it sounds basic, but executing these simple steps comfortably places you in the top 10% of financial stability. Honestly, people get so lost chasing complex crypto hacks or wild trading schemes trying to reach the top 1%. Don't gamble. Aiming for the top 10% with this boring, proven strategy is infinitely safer and, frankly, a lot less stressful. So, I'll leave you with this. Whether you have 30 years to let compound interest work its magic, or you have 30 months and need to aggressively downsize and catch up, what is the one financial leak you can patch today? Is it canceling an unused subscription, opening a high-yield savings account? Whatever it is, take that action right now. Your future self is going to thank you for it.
Like, share, and subscribe. Like, share, and subscribe.